When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs. We have a really special treat today. So this might not be the right podcast to listen to while you're driving or at work. I know a lot of you will put your ear pods in and will listen at work. And many of you have told me, like, I love listening to it while I'm doing XYZ. So maybe this is a chance for you to get quiet, because I have Elaine here today out of Paradise Valley, Arizona. She's going to be talking to us about reconnecting to our true soul's calling. So I feel like this is going to be a podcast where we need to kind of get comfy, listen in. She's going to give us some great advice and instruction on how to do this. And we're going to talk a little bit about her new book that she just released too, called Get Quiet, 7 Simple Paths to the Truth of Who You Are. It's going to get serious today. And like we do week after week, we bring on guests for you to learn how to design your life for the desired outcome versus you living it by default, because that is going to do nothing for you. But before we get to Elaine, we do want to thank today's sponsor of today's show, Animated Holiday Lights. And at our company, we're dedicated to transforming spaces into extraordinary wonderlands through our expertly crafted permanent light installations. With a team of skilled professionals and a passion for spreading joy and cheer, we strive to create captivating light displays that leave a lasting impression, and you never need to climb a ladder again. Our lights can dance to music, any song, any color, any holiday. From residential homes to commercial properties, our permanent light installations are designed to enhance the beauty and festive spirits of any location. We take pride in our attention in detail, using high-quality materials and advanced techniques to create stunning visual experiences that surpass expectations. Join us on this magical journey as we bring the holiday spirit to life through our dancing permanent light installations. Explore our portfolio and see the transformative power of our work at animatedholidaylights.com. Well, I have them on my house, and I'll just tell you that I was the one that had to get up on the ladder, and I don't anymore, and I absolutely love it. And we are like one of those houses that everyone drives really slow by, parks out in front of. I can never get in and out of my driveway during the holidays. So that's all on my husband. We're just going to let that go for now. And we're going to get to our guest, Elaine Glass, who is a personal coach, author, and speaker. She draws on 15 years of transformative expertise. And after a difficult divorce, she navigated a decade of self-discovery through travels, alternative healing, and spiritual exploration. Today, Elaine guides her clients and readers to go after their dreams for lasting joy and well-being. Her coaching practice centers on being open to change, quieting the mind, and unlocking hidden gifts in a judgment-free space. Elaine, welcome to today's show.
So nice to be here with you, Colleen.
I move real quick. So I have a very high energy, and then Elaine comes around, and this happens every once in a couple times a year. Someone with this beautiful, quiet, calm energy catches my attention. There's one other person that's done that, and her name is Roberta Hughes, and everyone knows her, and she's got this calm energy. And Elaine, you just bring this calmness about you to, I'm sure, your work, your clients, and even to this podcast today. So where did that come from?
I think I came in this way. I'm circuited this way. I remember feeling very much this way, even as a little girl. At 7 years old, I would be the person on the playground in my quiet place, and everyone would, come to me one by one, telling me their, sob stories and confiding in me. And whatever I was being in that moment, they would leave happy. So I've taken this presence of mine throughout my life, but I had to get present to my presence. And I think that's really important because we all are circuited in many different ways that we need to embrace. But how can we really tune into that and have that work for us in our life? And then how can we translate that into things that we end up doing that really serve us at the highest level and humanity? So I've taken this presence of mine and embraced it. In a lot of ways, I could have denounced it because not a lot of people embrace quiet people. But I've made it work for me.
I think I've always found it to be a good opposite attraction for me of people that I need in my life. And I've gone on yoga retreats and other things, meditation retreats, because I feel like I need that kind of opposite attraction in my life to really ground me, to bring me back down, because I'm naturally exactly like this. People think it's caffeine. It's nope. No, it's not. You know, I am a high performer and I have habits of a high performer. And one of those really is energy. It's a very, a specific piece of being a high performer. And I just have this natural energy. And I get words like inspire and motivate from women from stage or from conferences or just talking with them one on one. So I love that you found what that was, but you said you had to step back and get quiet. Do you think that's the biggest missing piece today, is this constant, it's worse today than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, because the phones, they have everything on them, this instantaneous gratification. What are the problems that are out there that you seem to be solving, right? The attracted people that are coming to you that are saying, I need help.
These people come to me because they have lost connection to their soul. They've lost connection to knowing that we are souls having a human experience. And that's where I believe all suffering comes from, all disease, all anxiety and depression, is when we have only been living in our minds, in the monkey mind, in the doing and activity, being totally unintentional with our lives, grabbing onto shiny objects, not even knowing what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, or more importantly, why we're doing it, living on autopilot. So this getting present to the truth of our life is really what makes a difference in my clients' lives, is having someone like me who can sit in a non-judgment free, in a judgment-free space and really deeply listen to another human being. And that's what I was doing on the playground at 7 years old. I was listening. I'm a listener. And that's really, really hard to find these days. And not only do I listen to others, but in those moments that I needed to get quiet, I had to turn that all back onto myself and start listening to myself, listening to my soul's voice, listening to God and connecting. And that's what turned my life around.
Wow, that's beautiful. I definitely will say that when you said we forgot that we're a soul having an earthly body experience. So explain that a little bit more. You want to dive a little deeper into that?
Yeah, so I believe that we have a signature energy that's encoded and embedded in our human DNA. That signature energy is what I call a soul. That is the soul's calling that we can connect to when we get quiet, when we walk the 7 simple paths in the book, Get Quiet. That allows that embedded and encoded energy signature that only you brought into this world to be activated and begin to live out your soul's calling, the only thing that you were meant to be here to be doing. And we forget that that is everybody's birthright. We are all born encoded with something spectacular. The sooner we can access that and know what that is, and get about the business of doing it, our lives completely change. And the thing that really changes is our health.
Okay. So you know how so many people say like I hear it all the time, like, I don't know what my life's purpose is. I'm trying to figure out my life's purpose. Have you heard that a lot from people? I think they get to a certain age. Maybe it's because I'm in my 50s, and I think I'm around a lot of women that are older, older than my age and older than me. And they'll say that a lot. Like, maybe it's because we go through motherhood and we have babies. And then it's like, okay, well, I was here to be a mother, right? And I spend my time being a mother. And then we become empty nesters. And then they find themselves in this kind of, I don't know, I feel like a platform of, what do I do now? What does my life look like now? What is my identity now? And what you're saying is our identity has never left us. It's always been part of us. And it's that kind of soul fingerprint of who we are and what we're meant to do. But no one really digs deep, or people aren't digging deep enough or slowing down or getting quiet. And you talked about that you have seven simple paths. Do you want to share a one?
Sure,
Leak it
sure.
to our listeners.
You see, what happens is we all have this soul signature that we are here to live out in this lifetime. And it's all about, how do you want to feel every day? I know that it's at 7 years old, when they left happy, I had a feeling inside of me that is indescribable. It's the same feeling that I feel after I've sat with 100 people on Zoom, going and helping them through these 7 paths and these energy healing modalities that I teach. I get off of those calls, it's the same feeling, Colleen. So it's like, it's not about the doing so much of what is your purpose and what you're doing, because it's going to look different as you go through life and you experience yourself in different ways. It's about the feeling. How do you want to feel every day? So that's really what I'm talking about in terms of purpose. How do you get that feeling? You have to be a clear vessel to actually be able to feel. And so many women today are holding so much. They're holding the weight of the world on them.
Or numbing. So
Totally
they
numbing.
don't feel.
That's right. And so the 7 paths, and I'll go through them, is this a way to clear your whole entire energy field out so that you become this clear light, being able to vibrate at the highest level and actually feel your humanity again. Because so many of us can't even feel our own humanity anymore. It's gotten so loud. So the very first step, and this happened to me after you had mentioned I had gone and leaped out of this divorce after 13 years. I left my husband. I leaped out of a career as a dental hygienist after sitting with 40,000 patients. Can you imagine a stadium room full of humanity? And I leapt into experiences that made me feel like that 7-year-old, like someone who was really giving and bringing value to this world. And the very first thing I did after my divorce is I started just moving my body. So the very first path is nurture your body, get back into your body. Because some of us we can't even feel our body. We can't tune in to what our body even needs and what it's screaming out that it needs in a lot of ways. And so the very first path is nurturing our bodies. And the second path is cleaning and clearing out your environment, anywhere from your closets to your cupboards to what kind of food and what kind of supplements are in your refrigerator and pantry. Who are the people that you're sharing space with? Who is in your bed? I mean, purging everything that no longer serves you. Because we get to this point in midlife, in our 50s, especially for women, where we're just unwilling to live a life that doesn't feel right anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to betray ourselves anymore. We can't. You know why? Because we know that is the death of our soul. It's a slow soul's death.
Yeah.
And so we begin to tune in, clear out our lives so that we can access this brilliance of ours and make the second half of our lives magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And thank you for sharing a little sneak peek into the 7 simple paths that we each need. And the book is called Get Quiet. We have all the information for you to be able to access that book below. What inspired you to write the book, Elaine?
After sitting with 40,000 patients, I had a personal coach over 15 years ago who said, Elaine, what did you learn after sitting with all of those people, seeing the medications they were on, hearing their life stories? What were people happy? Why were people happy? Why were people sick? I mean, that was my life class. And what I noticed in a lot of people and myself at the time was that we are denying the calling of our soul. We have been led to believe that we are less than we really are. And when we get quiet and actually tune into our own voice and not the noise of the world, we hear clear messages. This is what my clients, every time I take them into quiet, they say, "Oh my gosh, this is what I heard." And other people have said this to me, or I've heard this outside myself. But you know, when I hear it from me, from my own voice, my own knowing, my intuition, my female intuition, which is our superpower, then game over. But we've got to let go of so much that we're holding on and clear up our energy so that we can bring in this wisdom for ourselves.
It's very powerful because my guess is there's a lot of women listening to this today, probably men as well, that are listening to this today and thinking to themselves, people say that this trait about me is amazing. People say that I'm this and I'm that, right? And maybe they're giving them all of these compliments, but to that individual, they don't see it for themselves. They don't believe that for themselves. They don't really see the amazing individual that they can be or are.
I love the fact that you just said or are, because we already are being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We are perfect the way that we are right now.
So it's really the fear, the anxiety, the numbing, the depression, all the things that happen bring on all the dis-ease, like you talked about. I call it dis-ease in the body, right? It becomes a disease. A really good friend of ours just passed away. Found out he had stage 4 cancer within 6 months. He had passed away, and every energy worker that came to work with him talked about his anger and the pain that he was holding on to that caused so much of this. And that was just a really big wake up call to like, am I holding on to any pain? Is there suffering? Is there resentment? Is there judgment? Is there anything that I'm holding on to that I need to release? Because the issues are always in the tissues, they say.
100%. And look at the life that we're living, the society that we're living in, and the addiction to fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear alone will kill you. I have seen it thousands of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be leading ourselves. We have to have a tool that shows us a different way to live right now, a more natural way, getting back to who we were meant to be in terms of not living in this crazy fear addictive world. How do we get back to love? How do we get back to loving ourselves and accepting ourselves? I'll tell you a funny story. A lot of messages come to me through dreams, and you may, and your listeners may also relate to this. So I loved Anthony Bourdain, who was the great chef and traveler.
Love him.
And he came to me in a dream one night. And I must have needed to learn this lesson because at the time I had leapt out of dental hygiene and gone into coaching. And I was just trying to like find who I was in this new world of mine. And he stood there in my kitchen, in my dream, and telepathically, whatever way we, spoke to each other in this dream, the only thing he wanted me to know was you are enough just as you be right now. And he even said, like, I didn't have to do any of that I did in my life. I was enough just being.
Beautiful.
And that alone, that mind shift alone will change your whole physiology in an instant. You are enough just as you be right now.
Yeah. And it's letting go of all the hurry, all of the pressures, all of the stuff, right? The human body experience stuff. It's letting go of all of that to, like you said, get quiet and step back to reconnect with that. And you say reconnect. So can I ask you a question about that? That's been on my mind since I read all of this information about you preparing for this interview today. When are we connected to it? And where did the disconnect start that we need to reconnect?
We come in totally connected. But life gets in the way. The noise of life gets in the way. We go through loss. We go through grief. We go through disappointments. And when things are unhealed, that's when we hold on. And that's where the disconnection comes from. It's just like a radio station that gets fuzzy. And we need to reconnect and retune and attune ourselves back to this clear connection. So how do you do that? You go through the 7 simple paths. You clean and clear out your life.
Mm-hmm.
You heal. You reconnect and tap back into your intuition. You begin to dream again. My clients come to me and they say, my gosh, I can dream again. I can start to create again.
Yeah.
And that feels so good because they feel alive again. They are playing again. And I believe that one of womankind's greatest achievements is play. But we have forgotten how to play. We are not giving ourselves permission to play. And so what do? We scroll, an endless scroll on social media. We see everybody else playing, but we're just sitting there. No, go out and play. This is what changed my life. I did this out of the box challenge that I called it. And every month for 1 year, this was years ago, over 15 years ago, every month for a year, I would choose one thing that I did that felt a little out of my box, a little challenging, but that I was curious about.
Mm-hmm.
And I led that every month. And after those 12 months, Colleen, my whole life looked differently. I'd become a life coach. I had a website up. I had embraced my quiet presence, loved myself, and fell in love again.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, really. And I think even today, to be honest, our children are starting to disconnect from their true souls at an earlier age because of confines of even the pressure from parents and other kids and school. And I could go on and on and on. So I think we're disconnecting at an earlier childhood age before we even have a chance, right? And so this is great. This is beautiful because even someone going through these steps with you can work with their children or their adult children, whatever it looks like, to really start working on changing, I always call it generational patterns. How do we change those generational patterns? We have to do something different than you haven't done before to stop the generational pattern. So this is beautiful, Elaine. So tell me, how can people reach out to you? How can they find you? I know you're at elaineglass.net. It's nice to see someone else at a .net. I had to be a .net because some other Colleen Biggs has .com, and I have no idea who they are because I've looked on Google and I can't find them. I'm the only Colleen Biggs for like 8 pages because I'm out there, and I have no idea. I'm a .net too, Elaine.
That's amazing. And you can you can also find me at getquiet.com. And that's where you can order the book and get some free gifts that I think you'll love.
Getquiet.com is great. And then don't forget to connect with her on Instagram is a great place. I looked her up and connected with her at Elaine Glass .author. So you look that up and you'll see her, as well as Facebook. We have all of those links below for you, getquiet.com, and then as well as elaineglass.net. So Elaine, thank you for being with us today. This really was a very insightful, quick learning podcast episode for everyone listening to know exactly what they need to do to reconnect to their soul's calling. I'm going to say the first thing they need to do is go buy the book, because I'm getting it today.
Thanks so much for having me, Colleen.
Thanks, Elaine. And to all of you out there, don't forget, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. That we talked all about today. The soul of the fingerprint of your soul. It's only you. You're in this body and having this earthly experience, but you want to find your true calling. You want to know what you're really all about and find your worth of knowing you're enough. Just get connected with that soul's calling. And if it's something that you need guidance on, buy the book. Connect with Elaine. There's a lot of opportunity there for you. There's no excuses for you not to do it. So thank you, Elaine, for being on the show. And for all of you, until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.